Welcome to episode 665 of Salsido Paranormal. I'm your host, James Salsido, and tonight I'm sharing true paranormal stories from the web. As always, you can find all episodes of the show, along with links to social media and other ways to contact me at the podcast page. And that is salsidoparanormal.podbean.com. That's SALSIDO paranormal.podbean.com. Always happy to hear from you all, whether you have comments or questions or topic suggestions or accounts of paranormal experiences, whether they're your own or from others that you trust. Happy to either read those or have you join me on the show to talk about them. And let me see here. Where was I going with this? Okay, there we go. Thank you for listening. Whether you are here for the live recording streams on Discord, or if you listen to the podcast or YouTube feeds, or on the Troubled Minds Radio Network, KUAP Digital Broadcasting. There you can hear replays of 2 episodes of my show every night at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, right before Troubled Minds Radio comes on. And as always, I want to thank Michael Strange, host of Troubled Minds Radio, for having me on the network and putting my shows up there. If you'd like to support my show, there are different ways to do that. You can always share it with others and rate and review it on your favorite podcast platform. You can find books I've written over on Amazon, paranormal fiction and nonfiction, including my most recent release, Salsido Paranormal Experiences. You can also sign up for the Patreon page and get 1 extra episode of True Paranormal Stories from the web every week whenever possible. Or you can just make one-time donations through PayPal. Support is never expected, but always appreciated, as there are expenses in making these shows, from equipment to research materials to travel expenses in some cases. And I believe that takes care of everything. So, just want to get back to the stories here of true experiences. So, thank you all for being here, and I'll get back to it right now. So, this first one here says, my mom lived in a duplex in a nearby town, but abruptly decided to move to Idaho with my brother. My brother, yeah, okay. She had 3 months left on her lease and planned to move her belongings gradually between California and Idaho using her pickup truck. On her first trip, her truck's engine blew a heat gasket. So she asked me to pack up her house and put everything in storage. I had visited the house before, but had never been there alone or at night. The house was old and had no light fixtures except in the kitchen and bathroom. So at night, it was mostly lit by lamps, creating many shadows. As the night went on, I felt a presence in the house, an unexplainable feeling of not being alone. I began seeing a dark, featureless figure out of the corner of my eyes, which would appear looking at me from around corners or doorways before moving out of sight. This experience was unsettling, and I never returned to the house at night. Years later, when sharing this story with my mom, she revealed that this eerie presence was the reason she moved out of the house. And that's where that one ends. That's amazing in a way, because you have separate corroboration of the same thing. I'm hoping that the fact that it was sort of looking around corners and all that kind of thing is more of a factor of whoever it was wondering what the people were doing there. Again, going back to my last episode I was talking about how I wonder if sometimes people or beings on different levels of reality end up frightening each other, or startling each other, or being curious about each other and what they're doing there. And I wonder if this is the case in this situation as well. I have no idea for sure, but seems like a possibility. And yeah, that's a neat one there. Just the corroboration, the same experience and everything. So um, that's always amazing when that happens, even if it is a bit unsettling as well. Moving on to the next one here. This says, I live in a small, quiet town. 2 weeks ago, while walking home from a friend's house at night, I felt like I was being watched. Although no one was initially visible, I saw a person out of the corner of my eye. It was a figure dressed all in black and possibly wearing a weird mask. The figure seemed to be teleporting, appearing behind me and then suddenly in the distance when I looked forward. This strange phenomenon has been reported to the police by others, but no explanations have been found. The sightings featuring this same body type and height have been happening for months. I don't know if it's just teenagers playing pranks or something paranormal, but the consistency and mysterious nature of the events is strange. That's where that one ends. And to me, that is also, again, another one of these amazing uh, things, because you have multiple people, apparently, having the same experience to the point where they're reporting it to the police in this small town, wherever it's at. I just wonder, I feel like, I mean, if it was just kids and the police were looking into it, they would have possibly figured it out already. And then you have the whole teleporting nature that the writer there was talking about. Now, I guess technically, if you did have multiple kids doing this, or people doing this, teenagers, I guess, where one would stand up or appear in the same clothes behind the person, then they'd sort of go behind something, and then someone else in front of the person would step out into view. But that seems like that would require some coordination too, if that was happening. I don't know. Um, that's an odd one there. And again, the fact that multiple people are having the same experience. Hopefully, if it is paranormal, it's just some kind of weird observer being, some kind of watcher, kind of watching. I don't know, being, but I have no idea what that. Just the but yeah, that's amazing when you have multiple people having the same experience, separate from each other, and again to the point where it's happening enough where people are reporting it to local authorities. So, moving on to the next one here. Let's see. Okay. Okay. This one says, my family and I took a road trip from Georgia to Kentucky to visit other family relatives. While driving through a windy road in Tennessee near the Kentucky border, something unusual happened. My husband was asleep, and I was driving the car during a rainy, foggy day, so I was highly focused on the road. But I saw something strange out of the corner of my eye, about 20 feet away, near a tree line. I noticed what looked like a tree moving. The object appeared to be as tall as the surrounding trees, about 3 stories high. The large, tree like figure seemed to walk away behind the tree line. And then I passed the spot. So let me see here. I'm sorry. And when I passed the spot, and looked back, it was gone. Later on, I tried to research cryptids or creatures that might match what I saw in that region, but I didn't find anything that seemed to fit. Does anyone know of any tall forest or mountain dwelling creatures that could be found along the Tennessee-Kentucky border? And that's where that one ends. That's amazing. If the judgment of the height is accurate, that sounds like some kind of, I don't know what that'd be. Some kind of tree giant? I mean, I wonder if it was physical or just appearing to be physical. If it was some kind of, again, nature being, nature related spirit. I have no idea. But they seem to be, they called it something like a tree like being of some kind. And giant, like 3 stories. That's like what, 30 stories, 30 feet tall, around there. That is massive. And you would think if it was some kind of living being, that would have been found by people somewhere in that area. So what else was it? Or unless it had some ability, again, as you hear with in some cases with whether it's Sasquatch or Bigfoot or beings that seem to have the ability to sort of either go invisible or possibly travel between dimensions. I have no idea. But I've never really heard of, at least not in modern accounts. I think that may be the first time I've ever heard of a tree-like being that has been cited. So we'll see if that ever changes, if I ever find more of these accounts. But firsts are always amazing. I'm glad it wasn't anything that did anything to startle anyone, or yeah, that was just an amazing sighting there to me about the nature of it being like a tree, but also the height of the thing as well. Even if it was only half that, 15 feet, still pretty tall for something that is moving around. It's very much like a giant in a way. So, moving on to the next one here. Let's see. Last one. Okay, there we go. This one says, this happened in the 1980s, long before the prevalence of cell phones and cameras. I was very young at the time and was sick with a high fever. There were no candles in the house, especially not peach-colored ones. My mother heard me giggling and entered my room. She found that my fever and symptoms had completely disappeared. There was peach-colored dripped wax across the carpet, though there were no candles or sources of wax in the house. My mother believed that an angel had visited and healed me, a belief she strongly holds to this day. She tried to preserve the wax, but lost it over the years during moves. I have only shared this experience with a few people and still think about it to this day. Has anyone else had similar experiences or heard of something like this happening? That's where that one ends. I mean, I've heard of people seeming to have encounters with beings and then having ailments sort of cured, getting better here and there. Rarely. The addition though of the wax, I have no idea what that would be. But yeah, that's a wild one. in a way, because you have a healing of some kind. I don't know though what the reason, or I don't know if there's symbolism there with melted candle wax. I'm just not aware of. I have no idea, but yeah, that's. I wonder if it really. I wonder, is there anything out there in the world that is similar to wax that they could have mistaken it for being something else, and they thought it was wax. But regardless of whatever was left behind, the way it was, the writer there was healed so quickly. Possibly that is amazing as well, and I have no idea for sure what happened. So the mother's guess is as good as anyone's. Um, yeah, candle magic from beyond. There in the chat, Matt Tallis says, yeah, yep, and could be possibly. So I have no idea, but thought that one was amazing because of these two. The one really rare thing that I've never heard of. I've never really heard of candle wax just appearing like that. But that would make sense in a way if it was some kind of magic from either some other realm or somewhere else on this planet that somehow it transferred to there. I don't know, but that was a neat one there. Moving on to the next one here. Let's see here. I lost it, and I found it. There we go. This one says, anyway, we'll see. I do not believe in paranormal phenomena, ghosts, or conspiracy theories. Oh, well. Anyway, but something strange has been happening lately that has me stumped. I have a lamp and a set of fairy lights plugged into different extension cords in my room. For the past 3 days, both the lamp and fairy lights have turned off at exactly 8:59 p.m. and remain off, seemingly broken, until 2:59 p.m. the next day. The lights are not on a timer, and they have never been on a timer before. My dad checked the fairy lights and managed to get them back on this time, but he couldn't get the lamp to work. It turns out that the lamp was unplugged, even though I know it was plugged in and turned on before it shut off at 8:59 p.m. This has me very confused. Is there a rational explanation for this? And that's where that one ends. And if there is one, I have no idea what it is. I could, if it was just the devices not working, then maybe we could write it off to just the devices not working. But you have the lamp being unplugged somehow. So I don't know with that one. And it always is amazing to me when people say the things like, I don't believe in any of this, but here you go. And then you have something like this, or even more amazing, that they go through, that happens. So, yeah, I don't have much more to say about that one, just because I don't know how that works. I mean, electronics can be affected by energy fields, and there's the thought, and this seems to be the case, that at least some beings out there are just sentient, conscious energy fields. So why couldn't they affect objects and make them sort of network or not work when they want to, I guess. So then you have the actual unplugging of the lamp. So, yeah, I don't know. Moving on to the next one here. This is a short one. This one says, I have recently noticed a small red object in my room at night. At first, I didn't think much of it, but when I took a picture and zoomed in, I saw that the object appeared to have a face of some kind. The object can only be seen during the darkest hours when all upstairs lights are off. Is this a ghost or something else? Despite the unsettling thought, I think that the ghost is friendly. I asked the ghost to move a towel if they were friends, and the towel shifted along the radiator. So I guess they mean their heater in their room. And that's where that one ends. I have no idea. That was quite brave of them in a way to make contact. I don't know. It's amazing that they could see something, but I'm guessing it was just blurry when they looked at it with their physical eyes, and the face was only visible when they took a picture and zoomed in. So what is that? Is that some kind of a red light kind of being? I don't know. But and then you had the object, the towel being moved at the end there. I don't know what to make of that one, except even if they were sort of mistaking the light for being just mistaking something else for being what they're seeing there, then you have the towel moving. So that one is odd because of that. And I don't know. I would definitely not recommend anyone really doing that. Of course, I can't blame anyone for trying to make contact in certain cases. I've done it a few times myself over the years, very rarely, but here and there, I've done things like that when I felt it was either important or it was safe enough. And again, always keeping in mind, even when I did that I could be wrong, and there could still be risks. But yeah, that's a wild one there. I'd be curious to know when that started appearing and how and when that stopped for that person. Those kind of details, but again, beyond that, I have no idea. So let's see here. Looking at the next one here, and let me see how long it is. All right, not too long. This one says, okay, yeah, all right. This one says, I enjoy looking for ghosts, and even though I've searched through many buildings on this college campus that I work at, I haven't had any experiences, even though these buildings are said to be haunted. I work in a building that was constructed in 1904, with many additions, but the original structure remains. On this day, I arrived at work at 6:30 a.m., half an hour before others typically arrive. As I entered the building, I immediately heard voices engaged in light conversation coming from dark, empty rooms, so multiple there. As I moved through the hall, I heard indistinguishable chatter, but each time I reached the door of a room, the voices stopped and the room was empty. Approaching a T intersection near my office, I heard a distant sound like children playing or a party. At this moment, a coworker came in from the opposite direction and confirmed hearing the sounds. As the coworker reached the intersection, the mysterious sounds abruptly stopped, and the building returned to silence. So as of today, I have had my first auditory encounter with ghosts. And that's where that one ends, and I can't doubt what they're saying there. And we are out of time. Thank you all for listening, and I'll talk to you all next time on Salsidoparanormal. Take care.